Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today's episode, we're going to be changing the oil on my beloved 2010 Ford Flex with the big boy 3.5 liter Ecoboost engine. And the oil I use is 5W30 Motorcraft full synthetic motor oil and a Motorcraft oil filter. Let me know in the comments, what do you guys use? Do you stick with 5W20 oil? Ford spec is 5W30. Do you run full synthetic or a synthetic blend? And what about fuel dilution? Because the fuel dilution is the reason that I change my oil every month and a half, or about 50% on the oil life monitor. That's also why I run full synthetic. Now, as far as brand goes, I use Motorcraft. I know there's Pennzoil. I know they're Ultra, I think it's Ultra Platinum. Was supposed to be pretty good about combating fuel dilution. I don't know. I know that you have Amsoil, you've got Royal Purple, you've got Valvoline, you've got Castrol Syntec. I've never had any experience with those. I just use Motorcraft. That, and it's like $6 a quart at the dealer, $6.70 I think. Anyway, let me know what you guys use in the comments below. All we're going to need is a 15mm wrench. You might want a oil filter wrench, depending on how tight yours is on there. I change my own oil, so it's not that tight, so I won't need one. I also need a new drain bolt, and I will have this part number in the description in case you need one. Ironically though, the new bolt doesn't look like the old one, even though the dealer says this is what it's supposed to be. I'm changing the bolt because my current one, there's a plastic gasket around the head of the bolt that is cracked, and it's allowing a little bit of oil to leak out. Not much, just a drip, and you'll see it. So I figured I'd replace it. So with that out of the way, and all the damn birds, let's get into the video, shall we? Alright guys, as you can see, there's a little drip of oil dripping right here. Alright guys, so as you can see, right here is this oil drip. This plastic piece. Yeah, that's what broke. So, rule number one when you're changing oil, make sure this is not scalding hot, because hot oil will hurt you. Safety first. 15mm bolt, crack it, and we just unscrew. Well, for some reason mine never wants to unscrew easily by hand. I don't know why, it just never does. Now when you take this bolt out, be prepared about the oil that's going to come shooting out of here. You really don't want to make a mess. You don't want the oil over you, so make sure you wear gloves. And you have a pan ready. It's going to come out just like that. In case you're wondering, no, you cannot drain the pan and the oil filter at the same time. The distance between them is too great, well, at least for the pan that I have. So we're gonna let that drain. This is only 50% oil. Do you see how kind of black it is? Yeah. I drive a lot, believe me. We'll let that drain. Like so. So as you can see, here's my original one. Here's my new one. My original one doesn't have that little gasket right here, like the new one does. The original one had this black plastic gasket which went around the head of the bolt. Something like that. Now I went to the dealer and ordered the bolt because it's cheaper. Sometimes things like this, it's cheaper to go to the dealer and get than it is to order them online. This is what they gave me. You can order this gasket. I seen it on Tosca as a part number. It's like $3 there. The bolt itself was $6. So if you want to replace the gasket individually, I guess you could, but it might be more cost effective to replace the bolt. As you can see, our oil is for the most part done now, draining out of our lovely oil pan. I guess this is also where you get very anal and say, well, do you want it good to the last drop and let it drip, drip, drip all the way? Or are you going to be in a hurry and shove the bolt in there and call it a day? Which one are you going to do? I guess that's the question to ask. Now, personally, we're going to wipe this up, put the new bolt in, and call it a day. Ooh. Clean all the debris around there. Ooh, you little fucker. This is also an aluminum pan, so when you're threading your bolt in here, don't go too far in or you'll start stripping your threads, and then you'll be replacing this pan. And from the looks of it from here, that's not going to be that easy of a job to do. So you don't have to crank this down, just snug. And that is all she wrote, at least for that part. All right, now comes time to remove the oil filter. Now, when you unscrew this oil filter, you want to have a tray ready because this is going to make one hell of a damn mess. By the time you unscrew this, it's going to have oil come flying down here. So you want to be prepared. I know the first time I did it, it caught me off my guard, that's for sure. Now, as I said before, you might want a oil filter wrench. If you had a shop do this, this might be on really tight. There's not a lot of clearance, as you can see here, so plan accordingly. And here comes the oil. Really fast and warm. Why is there always stuff in my damn oil pound? This is why you wear gloves too, by the way. So we're gonna let that drain. I suppose you could be tricky Ricky and get a nail or a screw and slightly tap the bottom of this filter and let it drain out that way. I think that's an old school trick, and I've never done it for my fear of crushing this oil filter here. I don't want to do any of that, so that's not something I've tried. Let me know in the comments, what do you got? Would you guys try that? Or have you tried it? Let me know. This is why you wear gloves. And the rest of this, once it's drained, now be careful, it's going to be full of oil. Whoa! And you're going to have more oil coming out after it. Kind of like that. Then you get a towel. Clean up here on your oil filter housing. Mine's got some damage. It looks like the shops that have done it, like a Ford dealership, has kind of nicked it. Maybe that's why you don't take your truck to the dealer to get an oil change, because they probably just don't do that good of a job anymore. Time is money after all. And there's plenty of horror stories on YouTube about going to the dealer. I don't think it's going to do anything. Alright, so we're going to let that kind of drip a little bit out. Now, I write the mileage and the date on the bottom of my oil filter of when I changed it, so I know the interval and the mileage. Now, I've been taught that when you put your new filter in, you fill it with oil. And some people I've heard, or I've read now, that you just leave this dry and that there's enough oil in the engine that will prime this, your engine will be fine. Another one. Let me know in the comments of what you guys think on that idea. So we're gonna move this tote out of my way. I'm going to fill this and put some oil on the gasket that's right here. And then I'm gonna screw it up in there. Also, you wanna make sure your gasket comes down with your old oil filter. And speaking of the filters, what brand filter do you guys use? Obviously I'm using Motorcraft, as I've already stated. I've seen lots of stuff of not using Fram. And I believe Purpolator are the manufacturers of Ford Motorcraft oil filters. So do you think they're the same quality? I don't know. These are about $7 a piece, as much as the oil is per bottle. So let me know what you guys think. We're gonna fill this without making a damn mess. I think it's too late for the mess part. So I'm gonna fill this filter. Carefully. Whoa. Like so. Now don't forget, this takes 5.5 quarts. Don't forget to add this amount of oil into your calculation of when you're dumping the your fresh oil in your pan. You don't want to overfill your motor oil. And then we ever so carefully turn that on there. Now again, you don't need to torque this down. It's not a He-Man contest. You just want it snug. Just snug. There. That's it. At least down here. Now we go up top to dump our oil in and to conclude our video. Now remember, we filled that oil filter down there. So we'll start with the bottle that you already opened. See how much I take out. This is a 5.5 quart motor. I believe Gen 2 Flexes take 6 quarts, but Gen 1 takes 5.5. So we're going to dump our oil in. When we get to our last bottle, we're going to stop probably right about here, because this is half the quart and that's probably 3/4 of the quart. That way I don't overfill. So away we go. Now if you don't have a funnel, you can make your own. There's plenty of videos on YouTube of how to make your own. Well, there's plenty of things on Google on how to make your own. But this actual this shield does come off, as does the oil plug itself. So you can give yourself more room than what's right here. I'm too lazy, so I'm going to use a funnel. And this is another one of those, how much oil do you really want to let drip out of here before you're done? You know what I mean? Another good tip is to pour, well, whatever bottle liquid you have, whether it be oil or coolant, pour it from the side. It makes it easier to dump. Sure, if you actually saved your empty bottles and let them sit for a day, you probably have more oil. Let them sit upside down, you have more oil at the top. Something to think about, when you take your vehicle in, not just a Flex, but any vehicle in, it helps to know how much oil you actually need, because they don't charge you by half a quart, they charge you by the full quart. So, example, my Flex here takes 5.5 quarts of oil. You take it to a dealer, or you take it to any automotive shop, they're gonna charge you 6 quarts of oil, and you're walking away paying extra for half a quart of oil that you didn't even have. I got in an argument with the dealer over that once. Never went back again. Food for thought. So here we put 5 quarts, or 4 3/4 of a quart in. No, we put 5. Yeah, 4 3/4. I can't do math. So that's 5 full quarts of oil that I've dumped. We only need half a quart. But remember, one of the bottles was empty, or slightly was already open, because I used it to fill the oil filter. So our last thing of oil, we're only going to go down to like 600, and then we're going to check with the dipstick and see where we're at. I watched my dumb ass go over 600. Oh, yeah. Because I need half a quart. Now, there are some articles I've read that the engine capacity is designed for more volume than what's listed, simply because the oil or the liquid expands as it gets heated. So if you slightly overfill the engine, that's not as bad as underfilling the engine. Paper towel. Check our dipstick. Pull it out and clean it off. Now, on the dipstick, you might not be able to see it. Oh. You might not be able to see this, but there's some hashes right at the end of my glove right here. We need the oil to be right there. And we are. Yay. Do one more check. I think I could use a little bit more oil. So we'll dump a little bit more oil in there. Not too much. Funny tip. 6 quarts of oil, full synthetic, and the filter from the dealer was $54 with the oil filter. If you go to the dealer and you request a works package that's full synthetic, it's $70. $20 in labor? I don't think so. Now that looks better. We are at our mark. All we can do now, reset the oil life monitor in the cab. Alright, it's going to be dinging because the door is open. So we're going to turn the key on. We're going to go hit the setup button. Actually, the door is open, so we're going to hit reset. Hit the setup button twice. Now see, I'm at 52%, so we're going to hold reset so it says new. We're at to 100%. Well guys, that concludes this video on how to do an oil change for the Ford Flex with the Ecoboost engine. If you have the NA engine, it's the same procedure. I'm not sure if it's the same amount of oil, but it's the same procedure. And as I've stated throughout this video, let me know in the comments on what you guys use. How often do you do your oil change? What brand? What weight do you guys use? And since specifically for Ecoboost, with it being a boosted engine, do you guys get concerned with fuel dilution, which degrades oil? Do you guys get concerned about that? Have a great day, folks, and I will see you in the next video.